So good, quickly, guys. There is a whole lot happening already. If you followed the background I shared with you guys, I said there's been a whole lot of ethnic or tribal tensions happening ever since the presidential elections of 2023. There's been a lot of conversation about tribalism, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, go back home, go back to your village. Even though Nigeria is supposed to be a multi-ethnic group and everybody is firstly Nigerian in the constitution, for any other thing. So I want to quickly ask, even another thing is we've noticed that there are politicians who tend to marry from other tribes. There's been a lot of marriages from different tribes. Who've been doing businesses. We even have people who have to leave. If most of you are not even living in your states of origin because of business, because of migration or whatever, we have found ourselves living in different places and because of career, we're living in different geopolitical zones in the country. So the constitution already allows every Nigerian to be Nigerian wherever they are in Nigeria. I want to ask, is tribalism a real problem or is it just a mental disability? The topic today is, should tribalism be labeled a mental disorder? Because in the United States, they have racism. So I want to know, let me quickly get you guys' definition. What do you understand by tribalism? Maybe through experiences or whatever. Quickly, I will run it. Toyoshi, let me quickly get your own perspective. What do you think tribalism is? What have you experienced? I know you're a Yoruba lady, but I think you're in the northern region, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So what has it been like for you? Have you experienced tribalism before?
Hmm. Very well, actually. Like everywhere you turn to, it's there. It is basically loyalty to a particular tribe, and then if you don't belong to that tribe, you're treated like an outcast. So I'm going to give you an instance of when I went to the market. I was going to get something, and okay, there is this part where if you don't understand a particular language, you probably have to pay more and
Hmm.
things like that. I almost got beaten. I almost got beaten in the market just because I wanted to get something and there was the language barrier, right? And I was trying to communicate something, but he wasn't even ready to listen because I wasn't speaking the language. And before you knew it, other people were coming and guiding. I'm like, oh, what? Really? You know what? Just keep the change. I'm going. So
Wow.
you know,
Tosin, I know you're in the north too, but I think probably you're in the north central. So have you experienced something like that too?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Tribalism for me, it's everywhere. It's like the air you breathe in, a particular enclave you get. But there are ways to defining what you mean by tribalism. You can get a definition for yourself of tribalism in the context of business. First, when it comes to relationship, I think in the whole of Nigeria, I would pick an average I would have as the best. Reason that I've dealt with Yoruba, the Yoruba tribe, I've dealt with the Hausa, partially I've been able to. But the Hausa guys, they have one particular trait in common.
You are somebody who is in the north already and you've grown. I won't even call you a Yoruba guy like that. I will not lie to you. But hold on, let's not go there. Let's go to Elizabeth. Liz, what's up? You stay in the western part of Nigeria, say southwest. Have you experienced tribalism?
Directly, I haven't been a victim, but however, I've heard people's stories.
Oh,
I've
oh,
heard
oh, oh.
you want to maybe rent an apartment, and because you are either not Igbo or Yoruba, the landlord is not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
I was in a training one time where a lady also gave her own experience, and this was even in the medical field in the hospital, right? They weren't going to treat her, although this was as an advantage to her, but still tribalism regardless. They're not going to treat her, even though she was bleeding, that she should get police reports, do this and do that. However, because one of the doctors heard somebody speak Igbo, he now asked if she was Igbo, and she was like, yes. And then that was the only reason they treated her before the whole verification requirements and blah blah blah. So I mean, if you look at it, it has its advantage and has its disadvantage, right? As everyone has said, it's usually loyalty to where you come from,
Loyalty first,
a
yeah.
sense of wanting to belong to a certain group. So I think it's a natural instinct, if you ask me. I want to belong. I belong to this group, so my loyalty should be to these people. But at the end of the day, it has more disadvantage than it has its advantages.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your input. I like that you said tribal is loyalty is natural instinct, but as the world is, I'm asking everyone. I just want you guys to pay attention quickly. As the world is evolving, we are becoming a global village. Yes. So the question is, are we not still in the past if we are becoming less receptive of people who are not our tribal people? Tribal loyalty is old. It's in the days when people were still living in tribes. We don't live in tribes anymore. Is that not a problem? Are we not caught in the past? I want to ask Ellie, who is. I'm still going to ask Tosin too because he stays in the north. He's a Yoruba guy who is in the north. I'm going to ask Ellie quickly now. Ellie, you studied psychology. Do you think there's a reason? Do you think there's an explanation for it?
I don't feel there's any reason in particular because before we became or before we were born into tribes, we're humans first. So I feel if this person gives me what I want, or if I feel like I have a connection or a relationship with this person that is profitable, I don't feel that tribe should be an issue. Although I used to, growing up, I had issues with some tribes. Like I had issues with Igbo, I think Hausa, yeah, because of okay what we were told while growing up. Like
This
my
is what
mom
you
would
were told,
tell me,
right? Did you have a personal experience with these
yes,
tribes?
no, 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 I didn't have. But because of what my mom used to tell us then, she'd be like, I don't want you to get married to an Igbo guy. Don't even think about going to the north because of what they've heard probably from the past. Even someone that is from my tribe self might not even be that close. That person might want to hurt you or disappoint you at some point. But someone that's not from your tribe, because that person sees beyond tribes. That person has that person doesn't allow tribe to like a barrier or create a
Yeah.
boundary. That person is expressing themselves as human beings. So you have that human relationship, which supersedes relationship of tribes. So I don't feel there's any particular reason. It's just how we see it as human beings, how we
All right.
believe, how our mindset is made, how we see things, basically. That's how I say it.
Thank you very much. Toyos, do you think there's an explanation? You said something about, people, you went to the market because you couldn't speak their language, they were hostile to you. Do you think there's an explanation for that?
Okay, for instance, I'm Yoruba and I grew up around my family Yoruba people. So if I find myself in a place where there are Igbos and Hausa, I feel like I'm in a strange place, and if I see a Yoruba person, I'm like, okay, this is my person. So
Yeah, sense
I
of
just
belonging.
naturally gravitate towards that person. So I think that is what I can explain. It's a psychological thing.
Thank you very much for that input. All right, let me just quickly add this. Let me add this quickly to everybody. The next question I want to ask, which we'll round off quickly, is would you label this a psychological disorder? The reason why I'm asking this is because number one, say you are a patient in a hospital, for example, and you have to see a doctor. If you say that doctor should not treat you because they are from a certain tribe, your tribalistic way of thinking has caused you to die. You have refused to think in the future. If you have a business that needs a manager, if a Yoruba man is somebody who is qualified, your business will crumble if you refuse to hire a Yoruba man. You refuse to evolve. Your business will refuse to evolve because of how you think. If as a society we refuse to elect the right people in office because of where they come from, our society will refuse to evolve. That's why I'm asking. Is tribalism, should it be labeled as psychological so that everybody can go and get themselves checked? Racism is also being treated that way in some areas now. Like some scholars are thinking maybe racism might just be a psychological disorder because what would stop you from choosing the competent people because of where they come from? So I want to ask everybody quickly. I'll start with Ellie because she studied psychology. Do you think because these things are sometimes some of these experiences are even really connected with trauma. Parents who have gone through things with certain people in the tribe and like, oh my god, don't marry Igbo, don't marry Yoruba, don't marry Hausa, oh, don't do business with this. Are these things not psychological traumas, PTSD? that people should go to therapy and get checked so that we cannot move forward in this country? Ellie, let me start with you quickly and briefly so we can just round up.
Okay, I feel if we call it a psychological disorder, I feel we have been too extreme with that
Okay.
language. Yes,
But
it
wait,
has
would you
nothing
call,
that I mean.
hold on, Ellie. But would you call racism a psychological disorder if you were to give it
Um,
a label? It kills people
no, I
because of
would
their
say
color.
no. Okay, yes, that's to the extreme. Like now they've taken it to the extreme.
They kill people because of where they come from too.
That's what I'm saying. Like those guys have taken the whole racism thing to the extreme.
Are
Like
you
you're not even
saying
supposed to
you've
hate.
not heard about ethnic and tribal killings?
Of course, I have.
So are you saying those people are not
Like
taken
I
to the
said, what
extreme?
they are doing. Yes, now that's what I'm saying. Like that act is something that is extreme. Like they've
So
gone
should it be a
overboard.
psychological disorder then?
Yes, when it has gotten to that level or to that extent, we can term it a psychological
So
disorder.
you think should we wait till it becomes that, or should people go and get checked in hospitals right now first?
Do they agree to check to the hospital?
Well, maybe if it becomes a problem, when you treat something like a problem, then people start saying that, oh my God, I don't want
Because
to be treated.
currently nobody sees it as a problem, or few persons see it as a problem. They don't see tribalism as an issue. They
Hmm.
feel okay, we are just being protective of our tribe. We don't want our culture to die.
Hmm.
So you see someone that has maybe a son, like an only son, they say no, you can't marry someone else. You have to marry from our tribe so
Hmm.
that this culture doesn't die, so that you don't have children that are mixed breed. Do you get?
Yeah,
So I
loyalty.
feel it's more of an emotional thing.
Hmm.
Like seriously rightly said, when you are in a space of people that are from your tribe, you just go, my persons are here. Like, okay, I feel I'm with people that I can relate freely with.
Yeah.
So it's more of an emotional thing. Like they feel, oh, if like let me use Nigeria now, for example, the Yorubas are like, okay, and if we put this particular say, we'll get more like the national cake in quotes. We will have a larger share of it because we have our man sit on the seat of power. Do you understand?
Not
Then the
just
other
only
persons are
them.
like,
I'm sure
no,
every tribes
if
don't think the same
it's
way.
from these other guys, we're not going to get anything. So let's
Hmm.
project our person there because they have this mindset that okay, if someone from our tribe is sitting on that particular seat, then we will have things. Yeah, we'll have more stuff, we'll have more opportunities, we'll be seen as better people, will have more developments than the other group. So I feel it's more of an emotional thing, which people are actually taking to the extreme. Like they don't have an understanding.
Yeah. Would you call it a blessing or a curse to this country? Do you think it's more of a blessing or a curse?
That's
It's a
but
blessing.
like no, I'm not saying tribalism is a blessing. Like
Okay.
tribalism in its real sense, it's a blessing because okay, now we're in this group, we have someone that is
No, I
stable
think
or
maybe you want to say tribal loyalty might be a blessing when you appreciate your culture.
no, not tribal loyalty. It's self. Like I'm from Delta, I'm Isoko girl, and
Heritage.
yes, I'm happy that I'm Isoko. And going by what I've known about Isoko people, I wouldn't have wished to be born from another tribe.
Everybody thinks that way. So
Exactly.
now, but
So
if you
the
remove yourself from being a Soko now and think Nigerian, I know that will not be very easy. But if you think you know what is good for this country, do you get me?
yeah.
Would you want to put an Isuku man at the helms of power when you know a Yoruba man or an Hausa man or an Igbo man can do the better job?
No, I won't want to do that.
You won't want to do that. Are you sure?
Yes, because I know I will suffer.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yes, I know I will suffer
Let me
when.
ask Elizabeth.
Okay.
Thank you very much because that was a powerful answer. I wish maybe if we all saw things this way, maybe we would think better. Okay, Liz, let me quickly get your point. Do you think it should be labeled a psychological disorder? Do you think this whole thing should be labeled this whole tribalism thing? Is this too extreme?
No, I don't think it's a psychological disorder
Okay.
from my point of view. because it's a natural instinct that it just like to love and be loved, right? You
Okay.
can't say that that's a psychological disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I feel at peace when I'm in the midst of my people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to associate with these people based on whatever flawed reasons, which is not the argument now. But however, it's just the instinct being a human being. So no, I don't think it's a psychological disorder from my end. Because I mean, if
Oh, but when it prevents you
what
from
are
making objective, taking objective, thinking objectively, shouldn't that not
yeah,
be a flaw? Shouldn't it be a limitation? If it stops you from seeing, okay, let me explain. If it stops you from seeing whites, if it stops you from picking
okay,
the right person for your business, if it stops you from
yeah.
picking the right doctor for yourself, if it stops your nation from picking the right leader, don't you think that is stopping you from reasoning? Don't you think that would make you less competitive in the world because you are choosing the wrong people because you are tribalist, you are loyal to your tribe. While other countries are thinking about the competent people, you want to be loyal. I know you
Mm,
said it's a natural thing. Remember, humans' natural instinct too. We have some crazy natural instincts, okay, if you know. But
mhm.
we tend to discipline some of them. That's why we're probably
Yeah,
toxic right now.
true.
If we all acted on our instincts, we'll be animals.
Will be mad, exactly.
So the
Yeah,
question
so
I
and which is why I'm saying
okay.
rather than label it a psychological whatever, it's
Hmm.
important that we actually address the underlying causes of it first of all, right?
Okay.
Some people, it's not out of their own free will, probably because what they are used to or what they grew up into. So you grow up in a home where you see that maybe your family do not relate with other people because they're not from your tribe. I mean, it's going to take a whole lot of unlearning,
Hmm.
awareness, right?
Hmm.
Education to now
Yeah.
begin to act differently. So rather than just calling it a psychological disorder, I feel we should address the underlying cause of why this happens in the first place and maybe educate people
Education.
religiously, politically, the media. I know that our politicians are actually using this and their cohort for selfish reasons. So if you have like a strong education around it, I'm sure that will probably help as well. So if I'm able to see the reason why I shouldn't be doing this, or if I'm able to see the danger of being tribalistic and its effect, negative effect for my own society, I'm probably sure I'll choose better. So
Hmm.
sometimes most of us just also follow the bandwagon
Yeah, and
anywhere,
considering the
where
fact
the
that
left.
yeah, I agree with that. Oh, you said education, and considering the fact that when you read some comments on social media, you know that this is from an educated person, and we've seen that education most times doesn't necessarily mean enlightenment. What if
Absolutely.
what if there is a severe consequence for tribalism? What if for you starting tribal, kicking up tribal tensions, there's a serious we have leaders that actually punish that don't people that don't condone these things. Because no matter how educated you are, you'll be surprised what you hear from people who are educated and the kind of things they spew. So what if there is something to apart from education, what if there is a system that
Mhm.
strongly discourages it? If you don't call something a disease, people will not. If you don't tag something a disease, people will
You
like
would
it.
not know that they're sick. Mm.
Hmm. Let me see. Okay, Toyosi, I'm not sure. Toyosi, what's up? What do you think? Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Toyosi. Before you go, let me ask Elizabeth, please. Elizabeth, do you think it's a blessing or a curse to this nation? Tribalism. Do you think it's been a blessing or a curse?
To Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Well, not another country.
Okay, so I cannot say I can't choose. I'm
Hmm.
unable to choose at this time. I feel like it's usually the extremists that makes these things worse or difficult, right? And you'd see that when there are no personal interest, tribalism really is not on the rise. So you have some times or some tensions or seasons that makes it very, very obvious. So it's been a blessing to some people, right?
Mm.
And it's also been a curse as well. I just believe or I feel that whatever we do as individuals and as human beings, moderation is actually key. I shouldn't give out a position to someone just because he's my brother without competence.
Thank you very much. Please. Toyosi, now over to you. What would you say about the whole thing? Would you say it's a blessing or a curse?
Well, I think for Nigeria, it's more of a curse than a blessing.
Okay. I know
Because,
you've
like
gone through a lot. Sorry, my
he
darling.
said, honestly, because I don't know why. I think we need to start seeing ourselves as human beings first.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, be kind to everybody. Why would you want to only be nice to people that are from your tribe and not everybody? Why should somebody be from an Igbo region before I treat the person?
And
Just make
I
understand
think
and be
our
empathetic
generation
and
we
do.
tend to be more open minded. We tend to be more receptive. We tend to be happier, easygoing.
Yes, right?
Or I don't know. Sometimes we also allow ourselves to be used, and people sow these fears of domination in our heads, and everybody gets crazy again. So would you label it a psychological disorder? Looking at how you were treated, do you think if those people thought more objectively, I don't know. Although Lizzie said something about education, do you think if they were more enlightened and educated, have treated you better or something?
Well, yeah. Plus, and this tribal thing, I think is an indoctrination because
Hmm.
even from when I was small, I get taught to not play with this person because they are evil people. I
Hmm.
am told if you do this, you will face this. I grew up with that kind of mentality. I mean, if I see such people, I would run. I would not want to associate myself because this is something that I have come to believe. And because I am loyal to what I've been taught,
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to. It's not everybody that has that tendency to be objective and say, okay, let me just reason things out. Like I said earlier, I'm an emotional being. So we use our emotions more than we use our brains. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to say that, but that happens mostly. So I think
Mostly, actually, are very
if we
emotional
can
beings.
just learn, yes, we don't think because I don't understand how you know that this person, even though this person is my tribe, I know the person is not competent. I know the person will probably hurt me. I
Yeah.
know this person is wicked. I still want to stay with you just because I want to pledge allegiance to
You
tribe.
can
It
imagine
doesn't make sense
a
to
whole lot
me.
of marriages that have happened
It's
because of tribal loyalty, a whole lot of businesses that have
exactly.
happened because of tribal loyalty. A whole
So I don't
country
know.
country going into the drain, the lives of over 200 million people going into the drain because of tribal loyalty. God have mercy.
Honestly, it's not just making sense. I don't know
It's
whether that is
ridiculous.
a psychological disorder because if you say it's a psychological disorder, it means it's something they can't control. It's not like
No,
ministerial
no, no,
thing.
no, no.
This
Maybe
is
why you
something
call it
they're informed.
maybe why
They
you call it a
know.
psychological disorder. Maybe no, the reason why I said maybe if it's to called the psychology, maybe people would get so scared. I'm like, oh my god, it's a disease. I don't want to be accused. That kind of thing. Nobody will
I
be.
know, right?
Americans, for example, Americans don't want to be called racist. Do you get it? They're like, oh no, 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 I'm not
Yeah,
racist. Oh, no, 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 I'm not racist. That kind of thing. So
yeah.
maybe if we label it like that, people would be more careful. But I also think that might not necessarily even work because maybe when you educate people on the consequences, there's a system that punishes offenders. You get we need to now have
Yeah.
leaders that are really, really interested in the unity. That is also why we need to encourage competent leaders. Because if
Yes.
you bring your own tribal brother there, he won't punish you when he uses his own tribalistic whatever for his own domination or for
Yes.
elections and campaigns. So we need those kind of leaders that would put the people first and will not fan the flames of tribal tension. I'm going to go to Tosin. So would you label this a psychological disorder first?
Not really, because if you are talking about psychology, you are talking about probably how someone has been made to think or how you have been groomed to certain things.
Toyosi said sometimes in
You
its indoctrination.
yes, because first you are a product of your environment. The maybe your nuclear family, the way you are raised, the environment you are raised in, you're actually shaping your psyche towards whatever it is you want to do in life.
Mhm,
So for me, tribalism first,
mhm.
you grow in a house, you grow in a certain society. If you're lucky enough to grow in an environment where 90% of people you see every day, talk to, live with are from the same tribe as you are, you
Yeah.
might tend or you would tend to think in the same direction everyone of them are actually thinking.
Yeah.
If you for for kids who are lucky, I would term it lucky enough to have parents from different tribes or different cultures or even religion.
Mm.
That's like merging together of two societies. So apart from the fact that if you are given leverage to actually choose in whichever religion or tribe you really want to identify with, at least you have the opportunity to even see to see in a different direction how this other person, this other tribe is and all. But
Okay.
for it now in the African society, we have made it tribalism in Africa can be
Mm.
synonymous to racism in the Western world because we all know that if you go to some certain countries, America is saturated with black people. The UK, we are beginning to see more of black people doing things in the UK. But there are certain countries like Finland. We have like Finland. We have like I think Switzerland is beginning to have black people. We have Australia. Let us take Australia for an example, where multiple white people are dominant. One person, I think I I heard something from one person one time who boarded a plane from Nigeria to Australia, and the person was the only black person on that flight. And while boarding and also alighted, the person, according to the person's story, the person got different messages from this white guys like, "What are you doing here?" It might not be so obvious. At the same time, I won't want to believe the fact that every white person on the plane is actually thinking alike. At least you have one or two people are different. Seeing where some white guys usually handle black people, they make me feel like family. And I've also seen a black person treat another black person as if the
Mm.
person does not even come from the same race.
Would you say it's would you now tag it would you say it's a blessing or a curse in Nigeria?
It's it's
It
both.
is okay, it's
It's
mixed type.
blessing and it's curse. For
Right?
me, tribalism in
Mm.
Nigeria is more of a blessing than a curse. I mean, you're a guy now, and I'm speaking very fine of the average Hausa is because I've been able to experience these guys personally.
All right. Let me quickly ask everybody the last question before we round off. What do you think is the solution? Let me ask you see in two sentences or three sentences. What do you think is the solution?
For me, basically the resolution is for us to be more enlightened and more aware of ourselves first as a human being.
Mhm.
Then we'll treat everybody with normalcy, you know, the right way of life.
All right. Let me ask Ellie. Ellie, what do you think is the solution in a big heartbeat?
Okay, I feel people should have an open mind.
Open mind. Okay.
Like, see what the next person can offer, see what the next person is made of. Don't just see that person, don't see the person's tribe before you see the individual. Don't say, oh, you're Igbo, before you even know what
Give
that
them a
person
chance.
can say. Yes, give them a chance to express themselves. So I feel people should be open-minded and be ready to learn, because sometimes we don't want to learn. We don't want to learn new things. Like, oh,
Travel, things like that.
yes, I don't eat. I had that issue before, anyways. I don't
Hmm.
eat this because it's not my native meal and all that. But like I said, gradually with traveling and meeting people, I see, okay, yes, we need to really learn so that
Hmm.
that unity in diversity can actually,
Because it's beautiful to have all of us here. Yeah. It's
yeah, it's
actually beautiful.
actually this is something that we should practice. So
Mhm.
I think we should have an opinion. Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah. So now, would you, are you now more open? You say openness. But are you also open now, to other tribes, as usual?
Yeah, because one of my best friends now is from the north.
Can you
So
imagine?
he stayed.
All right. Liz, what do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think is the solution quickly? Do you have any solution? I know you said education.
Yes. Aside from education, because I mean, you've already said the flaws with education. It's not enough to be educated if you're not enlightened. But I think that's a starting point, right, for me. And then I also believe that our religious homes have a great role to play, especially because the country where we are in,
Mm,
and most of us would rather listen to our pastor than to any other person.
very
So
true.
if we continue to have this conversation, right, where we wield such authority to influence people's decisions, I think we should take it.
Mm, thank you very much. So, you see, what do you think is a solution quickly?
Pastors and people in such positions should do better. And then, of course, education to exposure, and then see people as
Exposure.
human beings, for goodness sake.
First, I want to thank you guys for even choosing to do this. You know how you guys work very hard and busy, for choosing to even excuse yourself to do this. I am very grateful. Thank you so much, Lizzie. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Tosin. Thank you, Toyosin. You guys were amazing.